Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Well, we're going to make cookies today, and I'm so glad that you checked out my channel. These particular cookies are chocolate sprinkle cookies. So it's really fun to do this recipe with your grandkids or your children because they can roll the cookie dough into all the colored sprinkles. And you can use colored jimmies if you want, or just as I'm using these today, any brand that you have, any color that you'd like to use. So let's get started. First up, I went ahead to save some time so I don't have to keep you too long in the video, is I took 8 ounces of butter, okay? I usually like to buy mine in stick form, so it would be 2 sticks. 8 ounces of butter. Now you also can use margarine if you want. I think you're going to like the butter better, but if you don't have butter, if you don't like butter, go ahead and use margarine. So 8 ounces of what you choose to do, but I'm using butter today. I went ahead and I creamed it. You want it so it comes out very smooth and very velvety, that kind of thing, okay? The next thing that you're going to be putting in, and by the way, I'm sorry, I no longer put the recipe below the video, and I'm sorry about that. So hopefully if you want to jot this recipe down, I'll go clearly enough and slowly enough that you could do that. So we know, and bears repeating, we've got 8 ounces of butter that's been creamed and broken up in the mixer. You can also use your hand mixer for this. I'm using the stand-up because I think it's much quicker for the video, okay? The next thing that you're going to be putting in is granulated sugar. You will need 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar. And I'm going to put it all in at one time. And then I'm going to warn you about the sound because my mixer can be quite loud on your end. So I'll give you a heads up every time I put it on, okay? And all I'm going to do now is beat the butter and the granulated sugar together till, again, it's really well combined. It almost everything becomes kind of a pale yellow color. Now that might take you, 2 or 3 minutes. It really depends on the speed you're using. If you're using a hand mixer, it's going to be a little different too. But you want them combined so it's very, very smooth. And due to the video, I'm not going to beat it as long as I normally would. So heads up on the sound. Now, of course, normally would I be beating at that high of a speed? No, I wouldn't, but again, I did it just for the video to move it along. And now I'm just scraping the sides of my bowl, trying to get to the bottom where it tends to stick. But you do want it to be quite fluffy and light. Okay, now I'm going to turn it on just for a couple more seconds, so warn you about the sound. All right, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to put 1 egg at a time, but you will need 2 eggs, and it's best to have them at room temperature. So I'm going to put just 1 in and turn on my mixer. Now the same thing applies here. You really want to beat it till it becomes very pale in color and very, very smooth, okay? And again, I'm just doing this because it does stick on the bottom and the sides. So, warn you about the sound. that you beat that for 1.5 minutes or whatever, depending on your speed, go ahead and once it's all smooth and combined, you'll want to put in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And I'm going to beat that in, so warn you about the sound. Again, I normally don't go that high of a speed, but I want to move it along for the video. Okay. So spend whatever time is necessary that it becomes very smooth and silky, okay? Now, talking about our dry ingredients, what you're going to need is 2 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'll repeat that again, 2 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour. You're also going to put 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder in there, and you're going to put 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And then with my little whisk, I'm just going to give it a little quick stir. You don't have to be real fussy with it. And to make it chocolate, of course, you need unsweetened baking cocoa. This isn't the type of cocoa where you add water and you have, you know, hot chocolate. This is unsweetened with no sugar. You need 1/3 of a cup. And I'm putting that into my dry ingredients and just giving it a little stir. You don't have to be real fussy with it. And I'm going to start slowly putting the dry into the wet. I don't want to beat it for too long, just till everything comes together. Because I think when you start beating cookie dough too long, it can become tough or dense. So we're going to just turn on the mixer on low and start putting that dry in. Now, if you go at a higher speed, generally, I'm going to have it, the dry ingredients all over me in my kitchen. So you do want to start off on low. Then, as you're using up your dry, you can raise your speed. Warn you about the sound. Okay, you can kind of start to hear that the mixer is lagging a little bit, so it does need to go higher. So we're going to turn up that speed and the sound. Okay, now don't beat that for too long, just till it's all combined. And that might take you 2 minutes, 2.5, maybe 1.5 minutes. It really depends. Again, it bears repeating. You know, are you using your stand-up? Are you using your hand mixer? That kind of thing. And now I'm just taking off the excess off my paddle. And I'm going to clean the sides of this mixing bowl, make sure that I've got everything, and then just give it a good turn. Now, this batter is quite wet. What I mean is, yes, it's sticky, yes, it's wet, and it can be a little difficult to work with. So, what we're going to do next is, and I'm just going to get this mixer out of the way, you'll need a cookie sheet or cookie pan. I'm using parchment paper. Go ahead and use your Teflon mats if you want. And I'm using about a tablespoon of this size scoop. You don't have to use a scoop. You can use a teaspoon. I like to use a scoop only because I feel that the cookies then come out the same size, and you know, the baking and everything looks more uniform. Then take that 1-inch ball or so, and this is where it becomes sticky. I try to just keep one hand free so I don't have any on it, and just place it 1 inch apart let's do another one. Not that somebody needs to be shown how to roll a cookie into sprinkles. But this is where it gets, you have to have a little bit of patience to roll that in the sprinkles and put them about 1 inch apart, okay? Now you're gonna bake these at 350 degrees, and they could take you anywhere from 12 to 14 minutes. So do start checking them. I start checking mine around 10 minutes or so. Just to make sure, because you don't want to over bake them. You don't want them too dry. Now this is the only, I think, more difficult part of the recipe. Take the cookies and put them in the refrigerator. If you can last for 30 minutes, it works, because I've tried it. I've left them in for an hour, and that works too. And then I've left them in longer in the fridge because I got started on something else and didn't finish up. So, but at least go for at least 30 minutes, because you do want them chilled, okay, before you put them in that preheated oven at 350. And you know, keep in mind, all our ovens set up so differently, so you do want to, you do want to watch them, okay? So I'm going to just push this aside, and I'm going to just wash my hands quickly because I was working with raw egg. And I'd like to show you what they look like when they're baked up. Just want to grab a clean towel for my hands. And this is how they turn out. You can kind of get an idea of the size of the cookie. It'll have your sprinkles on the top and the bottom. Now on testing them, you know, you'll probably see them about a medium light brown when they're done. Now if you want them a little bit chewier, then take them out more, you know, earlier. If you want them a drier cookie, then, you know, try that 12 minutes up to 14 minutes, you know. And on the outside, it's a hard finish, top and bottom and sides. I'm going to break one open, and then you do see that it is about a medium textured cookie inside. And when I squeeze on it, you can see it has a moisture to it and a chew to it. So when you bite into them, it won't be a hard cookie that you're going to, you know, feel like you're going to break your dental work or something like that. But again, it's, as I'm breaking it apart, you can see it is quite light. It's not a real dense cookie, and the crumb on it, as I said, it's about medium texture. Okay, if you like even chewier, again, cut your baking time down. If you like a real dry center, then of course go to your maximum time for baking. Now I got about 50 cookies using this size, okay? If you're going to go larger, then you'll get less cookies logically out of them, but I like to make them just kind of personalized, very, very tiny like this. And they are a great tasting little cookie. Like I said, if you can get past rolling a wet dough, cookie dough, and that has a little bit of aggravation, I would be lying if I didn't tell you that. And that wait period, that half-hour wait period, or even longer if you want, because they will bake up and hold their shape and size if you chill them. If you don't, they'll generally just go flat as a pancake. Now some people, maybe it does, you know, won't bother you and they still taste good, but that's one of the reasons why we're chilling this cookie dough. Okay, so there you have it. You've got chocolate sprinkle cookies. You can put whatever type of colored sprinkles or jimmies that you want, depending on maybe the holiday, that kind of thing. A great tasting little cookie and reasonably easy to make. So I want to thank you for watching. Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. If you try this recipe and you like it, well, please write to me. I'd love to hear from you. And I'll do my very best to answer you in a timely fashion. But keep in mind, I only put my videos on YouTube. So if you watch me on YouTube, write to me on YouTube. I'll get your question. I'll get your comment. If you'd like to subscribe, well, I can't thank you enough. Or ring the bell, give my video a like. So again, I want to thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Stay well and stay safe, and I'll see you soon.